Welcome back, everyone. What a great day with our conference so far. Let's welcome our next presenter. We have Siyata Mobile Inc. It trades on the NASDAQ under the symbol SYTA and is a B2B global vendor of next-generation push-to-talk over cellular devices and cellular booster systems. Please welcome the VP of Corporate Development, Daniel Kim. Welcome, Daniel. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me, Anna.
We're excited to hear your presentation. The floor is yours.
Thank you so much. Thank you again, and pleasure to present Siyata Mobile to you. I'll jump right into the presentation. It's our disclaimers page and our forward-looking statements. So as Anna suggested, what we play into is a market segment called push-to-talk over cellular technology, which I'll describe within the presentation. Reason why this sector exists is it is disrupting a legacy industry and technology that's been around for 90 years. It's called land mobile radio technology, or LMR. And push-to-talk over cellular, or POC, is really the next generation technology communication protocol to really displace land mobile radio. Land mobile radio, because it's been around for so long, it is a massive industry, roughly $21 billion as of 2021. So who is Siyata? What we manufacture, and it looks like smartphone devices, but they operate over push-to-talk over cellular. And it's really purpose-built devices that are designed specifically for first responders and enterprise customers. The verticals we have listed below are just a small sample of some of the verticals we play in, such as public safety, transport, oil and gas, etc. School buses, in fact, has been a fairly large vertical for us. But now we're expanding into other areas such as security, amusement parks, waste management, etc. We were founded in 2014. We are officially domiciled in Canada, but our foundation and our CEO and our R&D is all still done in Israel. So our core team is there, and our devices are manufactured with third-party contract manufacturers. We sell our products worldwide. However, the real focus for us going forward, and it has been for the last now 3 years, is the United States. It is the largest market for this type of device, and it is the fastest growing. And we'll get into some of the dynamics of why this is such an interesting market, specifically within the US. When we look at the legacy industry, the biggest land mobile radio players, excuse me, as listed on the bottom of this chart, four listed there, the real dominant player is Motorola Solutions. These are all multi-billion-dollar companies, of course, but Motorola dominates the North American industry with its land mobile radio products. And we are working to displace all these large players with our innovative products. And I'll describe in detail in the coming slides how we just plan to disrupt this industry. Excuse me. But what I'll describe here is what is the current situation, what is the problem, and what is the problem we're solving. So if you look at land mobile radio, if you look at, for instance, any fire, police, or ambulance, and they'll typically have one of those radios on their shoulder, that is a walkie-talkie-like device. It's predominant within North America, in fact, globally. And this is a radio that operates very much like a walkie-talkie, and it operates in a similar protocol as your AM/FM radio, whereas you put up a tower, and that's the picture on the right, and the signal can only propagate so far based on the amount of power that you have designed for that particular tower. Once you drive outside of that range, as you know, when you drive outside of your city, you lose your AM/FM reception. Same thing happens with land mobile radio. But that problem is compounded even further in the United States, as there are roughly 10,000 of these networks, often incompatible. So, driving across a county or a state, it could be problematic for first responders. And certainly when you're driving across the nation, it becomes even more problematic. You can have handoff agreements to be able to provide that compatibility, but that all has to be done in advance. And as recent events have shown, oftentimes when you have police from different jurisdictions or ambulance or fire coming into a various scene, there's a lot of incompatibility and communication breakdown between the various first responders. Land mobile radio is also largely restricted just to voice. It has very low data capacity, so it doesn't really fit or meet the needs of today's first responders when you come to the requirement for downloading pictures, video, and texting. And some of the larger entities that we talk to, in fact, if they are large enough, such as a municipality or a large district, they will own their own land mobile radio networks, which are obviously very expensive to both build and maintain. Some of our customers are even telling us it's quite difficult to even find the people to replace the radios to upgrade their equipment. So now comes along push to talk over cellular. Some of you may remember this back in several years ago. Sprint had launched something called Nextel, and that turns your smartphone into a walkie-talkie-like device. This is the next iteration of that technology. So what we are leveraging is the 4G LTE network that is predominant, of course, in North America and worldwide. And so now you can replicate all the functions of land mobile radio now onto your smartphone device. So it really leverages the infrastructure that the cellular carriers have been providing. That's number one. Number two, it leverages their network to get into the end market. So we sell through the carrier market to get into our end customers, which gives us a lot of leverage going forward and gives us a really deep and broad reach into the end markets. Of course, because it is 4G LTE, we also benefit from the bandwidth provided. And for first responders, situational awareness, of course, is critical. So now the situation today is when you arrive at the scene of an accident, you can only really receive information verbally, but now you can have pictures, video, and text, which is often quite critical. Moving on to the next slide. So we have a portfolio of 3 broad product families that we have launched into the market in earnest now into North America. And uniquely, even though we are a small company, we are the only company that we are aware of that sells all 3 product categories within this market segment. We sell them all through the carrier channel and predominantly in North America. So lots of synergistic benefits in terms of the customer profiles and sales opportunities. On the very bottom left, we have our rugged handsets. That's just one of our rugged handsets that we just launched into North America. We have a family of other devices that sell in international markets. In the middle category, we have our in-vehicle solution. That's how we came into the North American market. It looks like a bit of a kinked tablet-style device. This is professionally installed into your vehicle. And on the right are cellular boosters. And all of these work in tandem, and I'll explain that in the coming slides. So we just launched this device. It's called the SD7. It looks like a walkie-talkie. It acts like a walkie-talkie. As you can see, it only has a small screen on the top and it has a dial. In fact, I have one of these devices. We use these internally for work because we can communicate with anyone in the world instantly. So it provides live walkie-talkie-like chat. The reason why we believe this is such a game changer for North America, number one, is its price point. It's our lowest cost product coming into North America. The carriers are subsidizing this essentially for free. And you are put onto a rate plan that will cost roughly anywhere from $15 to $20 per month. Reason why the rate plan is so inexpensive is this does not make cellular calls. It only makes data calls. So this is basically an IoT device. Carriers love that because these algorithms can be compressed quite a bit. So it's very efficient on their networks. So it puts very little use on them, but it provides a tremendous value add. So this is a device that can be handed out to all number of workers, not just first responders, but all the verticals that I talked about in the past. It's very simple to use. You don't require really any meaningful training. But most importantly, a couple of other key features is you can remotely set up groups. So if you are a security guard worker or you work in a warehouse or a retail environment, all the groups can be remotely configured. You as a user do not need to do anything. It's very simple. You just push this button and away you go and you can talk. And one of the real key benefits of this particular device versus land mobile radio, one of the biggest complaints we get is loud and clear, consistent sound quality. This has been purpose-built to both mitigate background noise and also has a very loud speaker. So this can be used in any number of loud, noisy environments. It's ruggedized and it's built specifically for that end market. We launched a whole host of companion devices, as you can see on the bottom of that slide. We have a multi-charge bay unit. You can use a wired palm mic, so you can clip this onto your waist belt and then use that remote microphone, both when you're walking around or for inside your vehicle. And of course, we have privacy handsets and extra batteries. So a companion device we also launched recently with that, and we consider this our in-vehicle category, is on the left. We have something called the VK7 or the Vehicle Kit 7. And so you can take this device and slide that into the vehicle kit. This vehicle kit is professionally installed into a vehicle. and it provides now the ability to use this in a more professional manner within your vehicle. It has active cooling. It has a bigger speaker. You can now also connect our external boosters or antennas, and it's hardwired into your car, so you always have power. So a real boon. The reason why that form factor looks like that is it replicates the form and feel of the land mobile radio. Our end customers are very familiar and comfortable with that form factor, so we wanted to provide that same look and feel. This gives the added benefit. Now you can identify the vehicle and you can slot this in, and when the driver leaves, you can easily remove it. How we came into the North American market is the device on the right. That, in fact, was launched in 2019. This was our first 4G device that we launched into North America. This device, called the UV350, in fact, is also professionally installed into a commercial vehicle. And it has a 5-inch screen, same functionality as what you see on the left, but a little bit more functionality because it does have that screen, and you can download any number of the FirstNet apps that are provided by several dozens, in fact, dozens of different third-party software applications. And this is a device that continues to enjoy great traction within various verticals. Our last product category is the cellular boosters. And you ask, why do you need cellular boosters? If you look at the market segment, there are some larger competitors within this space, but they typically sell only online and through various online retailers. We are squarely focused on selling this into the carrier market. And why this is important is you can both install these in your home. In fact, we've had some record demand during the pandemic with everyone working from home. As Wi-Fi provides unique topology, but cellular connectivity, of course, is critical. And you can install these. We have different units that can go into buildings or large buildings up to 20,000 square feet. And the real boon for us is for first responders when you cannot afford to lose connectivity and you can't drop or miss a call, but also data speeds. You need to download and upload pictures and video. So it becomes really critical to have high bandwidth. Wi-Fi, as you know, is a well-understood topology that is password protected. The biggest problem with Wi-Fi is it's an open network. So the moment you connect to that network, you're opening your device to potential hacking. Cellular connectivity, by definition, is much more encrypted, and that's what we're levering off of, is really the cell phone carriers' network infrastructure, and we provide a boost to those signals in almost any situation, which is a real benefit to our end customers. As you can see on the bottom, we have launched this product with various online channels, but it's really through the carrier network that we're starting to see some tremendous opportunities in the retail and enterprise network, and markets. So we are only 28 people, and even if we're a double or triple revenue, we don't anticipate that we would really grow our company significantly larger, perhaps maybe 5-6 more people to really manage our key accounts. How we get to end market is, as I suggested before, is leveraging the cellular carrier networks. We are qualified with most of the major carriers in North America. We recently announced that our new rugged handset, the SD7 that we talked about slides ago, has now been qualified with AT&T, FirstNet, Verizon, and US Cellular. But of course, we sell our other devices through other carriers in North America and some other international carriers as well. So when we talk about the value proposition and what the carriers are asserting, the reason why they like products like ours is they are going after customers that are using land mobile radio, of which they are not generating any revenue. So now they can come to them, sell our devices like ours, and they have an opportunity now to activate a SIM card. And these are all accretive to the carrier industry, and they love this because this is now taking market share from land mobile radio, which is all additive to the carrier market overall. What's catalyzing this change is something called First Responder Network Authority, or FirstNet. When 9/11 happened, there was a real breakdown in communication protocols between fire, police, and ambulance, and the U.S. government decided to set up a separate entity to manage, to really convert the land mobile radio industry onto the 4G LTE network. They put this out to tender, and AT&T won this contract back in 2017. So for the last 5 years, AT&T has been building out its infrastructure to support this network. They are now largely done that build out. In fact, they're ahead of plan, and they are quite upfront about where they are in terms of their build out. So they're now 95% complete this build out, covering 99% of the US population. But more importantly for us, for a company like ours, is the number of connections they have been adding to this network, which has been growing north of 50% year on year. Last reported at 3.7 million FirstNet connections, and with 21,800 public safety agencies. Just within the FirstNet network alone, their total addressable market, they had originally estimated at only 3 million, so this is a big deal. They're now extended that definition of what is considered FirstNet to now largely any enterprise entity or government entity that requires critical communication. And that could include yellow school buses, it could include warehouse workers, it could include security guards. So anything that it could be considered something required for rapid evac or any type of critical communications really becomes an applicable market. So not only is it first responders is 10 million, but we're also now addressing an enterprise market, which we estimate is roughly 44 million just for our handset devices alone. Moving on to the management and board of directors, I'm not going to go through each of these, but what I will say here is if you look across the board here, decades of relevant experience for our particular verticals that we play in across both the management team and our board of directors. Marc Seelenfreund on the very top there, he founded the company and he is the current CEO, has decades of experience in the telecom and cellular arena, had previously founded a telecom distribution company in Israel. In fact, the genesis of the company, this company was really born from the fact that when Google bought Motorola's enterprise division and shut down that hardware that provided this type of solution for in-vehicle devices, we had hired a couple of key engineers in Israel and launched our company. And really, this is the next generation of Motorola's old enterprise in-vehicle division handsets. So it is through that we are now selling our products into North America. So to summarize, why should investors care about Siyata Mobile? We are a microcap story, but we are disrupting a very large industry. We are providing solutions in 3 broad product categories, which we believe are disruptive in their own right. Our rugged handsets are very uniquely designed, low cost. I should also mention they are mission critical push to talk. That's a next iteration of technology that provides lower latency and better global coverage. A very unique solution because there's nothing else like this in the North American market. Our in-vehicle device was the first and only device today that has been qualified with FirstNet. And our cellular boosters are unique in that we are the only second company that we are aware of that is selling them through the carrier channel. So within each of our product categories, we're disrupting each of the incumbents in a unique way. So we think there's lots of growth opportunity. If you look at the overall market, roughly $10 to $20 billion in each of our core product categories in terms of total addressable market. If you add it up all together, roughly $50 billion. Obviously a very significant market opportunity for a company like us, but too small for some of the majors to really care about. We would be thrilled if we could sell 10, 20, 100,000 units per quarter. That's a market that simply doesn't register for companies like Apple and Samsung that want to sell 50 to 80 million phones per quarter. Another key point here would be the effects of the pandemic. Of course, for 2020 and 2021 and 2022, it has slowed our growth plans. We are now starting to see resumption of numerous trials with customers across all of our 3 product categories. So our pipe of business continues to grow pretty dramatically as interest continues to grow, in particular for SD7, which we just launched. And as I suggested earlier, we are a small company, so we have tremendous operating leverage. Our ideal operating model would call for gross margins to get into the 35–40% range, depending on product mix, of course. So that would be the long-term goal. And with management team and board that we have currently in place, we believe we can really have an opportunity here to disrupt this market. So these are some of our investor relations contacts, both in the US and Canada, and my coordinates below. That concludes today's presentation. I'd be happy to take any questions investors may have.
Great job, Daniel. We do have some questions for you. Excuse me. Andrew wants to know, what's the latest status in regards to your Motorola partnership?
That's a great question. So Motorola, as you know, is the largest land mobile radio provider within the market. Motorola continues to grow. In fact, land mobile radio continues to grow in the low single digits, and that's been communicated by both Motorola and third-party research. Push-to-talk over cellular is growing at more than twice that clip. So Motorola has its feet in both camps. Several years ago, they acquired a software provider, the largest push-to-talk over cellular provider called Kodiak. So they are, have both their land mobile radio hardware business and they have this software business, and we work with Kodiak. So Motorola is in fact a partner for us. So they see the writing on the wall, and they are one of our key distribution partners to get our products to end customers. So that's a relationship that we established several years ago, and it's still ongoing.
Great. Michael Stinroth wants to know a little bit more about how you work with Motorola, and do they sell SD7?
The SD7 was just launched, and we've announced partnerships with AT&T, FirstNet, Verizon, US Cellular, and we're hoping other carriers will come. Motorola was there from the early beginnings in terms of trialing the product. So the hope is that they will be selling the product for us in the future, yes.
Great. And Michael also wants to know, when is Q2 2022 ER scheduled?
Earnings release will be this evening.
Oh, great. Okay. Good timing. Shelton Eaton wants you to talk about growth related to competition. Who are the largest competitors in the space, and how are you growing compared to them?
Well, the largest and most relevant player, I talked about Apple and Samsung, but they play in a different market segment, of course. You can take one of their phones, which costs $1,000, and you can put a skin on it and then install the push-to-talk over cellular software. But that's a different market segment. We're a low-cost disruptor with our handsets. And the primary competitor within that space from a pure play perspective is a company called Sonam, S-O-N-M, is their ticker symbol on NASDAQ. And they've had well-publicized issues with regards to management turnover and product and software issues. They're going through a bit of a turnaround. They've been recently acquired by a private equity outfit. So they had enjoyed tremendous growth in the past, really targeting the enterprise market, and then more recently into the first responder network market. So we would consider them one of our primary competitors. Again, they are like Apple and Samsung. They have a broader range of products, but typically are a more expensive solution. We are coming in at a significantly different price point where we think we can hit a much higher volume segment of the market.
Great. Lori Alvarado asks, can your technology become compatible with iOS or Android? And if so, through an app or an add-on service from the carrier? How does that work?
Our devices are all Android-based. We do not provide any iOS devices. So these are all Android-compatible devices. In fact, FirstNet has a whole catalog of software that works through Android. Of course, they have the same for iOS, but we are squarely in the Android camp.
Fantastic. And Mark Castaneda wants to know, what is the revenue to profit model? How do you get paid?
So we get paid for just our hardware. It's a one-time sale. Our handset devices are on the low end at roughly $300, our UV $350, $700, and the carriers will provide their own subsidies based on their end customer and the potential volumes. Our boosters have a big range. For inside your house, can be as low as $300, but for complex deployments that require higher power and network management software, they can be well north of $2,000. So there's a real range. And that range will also be proportionate to the margins that you would benefit from. So overall, over the course of time, we also have, of course, the accessories that we sell with our devices, and batteries. We sell battery packs, cases, etc., at great margin. So over the course of time, what we would like to do is partner with the software companies and have more of a recurring revenue model. We do this in a small way in international markets where we have a great installed base. And over the course of time, as we develop our installed base within North America, we'd love to replicate that model and take a small piece of the software that gets installed onto our platform. That's number one. In terms of our model, at roughly $6 million per quarter, give or take, depending on the margin profile, we should be break even. And what we've communicated to investors, and we continue to communicate, is we hope to be profitable in the coming quarters.
Fantastic. Victor Roberts wants to know, what type of growth are you seeing in the first responder and enterprise customer segments?
We're seeing growth across the board. In fact, what we have also communicated to investors is the interest that we have been receiving, in particular for our SD7. We think the SD7 is going to be our big volume winner beginning this year, as we launched this product in the second quarter. And it was really through trials that you'll see some, not huge volumes, but decent volumes come through in Q2. Through the conversations we're now having with potential and current customers of the SD7, as we continue to provide more trials and the orders are coming in, we expect the volumes to ramp up even more so in Q3 and then in Q4. In terms of our end markets, it's really across the board, from amusement parks, security guards, warehouse workers, government, you name it. Anyone that really requires an easy-to-use device that is low cost to deploy, that is an easy replacement for a walkie-talkie like land mobile radio device, this is it. And the carriers love it because it gives them the volume opportunity to hit the subscriber numbers.
Okay. Faith S wants to know if the VK7 can potentially hurt the car battery in the long run.
It's a very small drain. It's no different than plugging your phone into a car. It's got a 3800 milliamp battery, so it's about the same as your smartphone. So relative to your vehicle, it's immaterial. The reason why it's connected directly to the battery is when you start the car, it immediately turns on the device, and vice versa. So it's always powered when the vehicle is running. A real advantage for first responders.
Fantastic. Eileen Church wants to know how you're obtaining customers. Is it strictly through the carriers you mentioned? How are you advertising? Eileen's not seeing any advertising for your products.
And that's a great question. So we really leverage the carrier network, and the carriers have hundreds of direct salesmen that manage their enterprise accounts. So we, as a small company, of course, if we were to knock on the door of any enterprise or government customer, it would be pretty tough for us to get any attention. Coming in the door with AT&T and Verizon opens the door for us. So we then demo the products with the carriers, and then we consummate the sales through the carrier network. So the sales and the marketing efforts are all borne by us through the carrier channel. So it's really not prevalent with the end consumers like yourself. You wouldn't see it on their website, for instance. These are all corporate type direct corporate sales that end consumers would not see. We do sell through a number of distributors as well. Again, end consumers would not typically see this. We just recently announced Logic Wireless as an example, Tesco, Silk. These are all corporate B2B type sites, and we would sell directly to corporate enterprises through our distributors as well.
Fantastic. Mike Reyes wants to know, what is the future of push-to-talk? Is it continued growth along its current vertical, or do you see it going back to everyday use from consumers?
There is a consumer version of push-to-talk over cellular that some people may have heard of, and it's an easy what we call over-the-top. It's an application that you can install on your hardware, and you can use it between your family and friends. That's not the market we play in. Push-to-talk over cellular is an embedded application that works through the network of AT&T/FirstNet. They have their own separate core, so they have their own security protocol. It's managed remotely. It's encrypted. It's a far more robust solution with far more functionality and security and robustness and low latency than what you can provide in the third party. So this is a market segment where there are literally millions of land mobile radio devices deployed just in North America alone. And that's what we're going after. We're going after this market segment where typically not going to be a consumer like you and me. It's going to be for professional users.
Wow, fantastic. Daniel, do you have any closing remarks?
No, thank you. Those are great questions. I thank you for your time. And I look forward to delivering positive news and catalysts for investors to come. We've communicated oftentimes to investors that look for new partnerships, growing revenues, significant purchase orders as the volumes ramp up, particularly for SD7. And we're really hoping over the course of time that we'll deliver profitability for investors.
Fantastic. Well, great presentation, great work you're doing. So we appreciate you joining us, and we'd love for you to come back again with those updates. Thank you, Daniel.
Thank you so much.
All right, everyone, stay with us. We'll be right back with our next presenter.